Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hey there, welcome to another Lemon Amiga game guide and review. In this week's episode we'll be taking a look at Unreal, developed by Oxford English Enterprises and published by Ubisoft in 1990. The game opens with a very nice high-res introduction picture, and in this game our aim is to rescue a princess called Isolde, and Isolde has been locked up by an evil wizard known as Polymorphic. The intro also features a tremendous soundtrack by the Maniacs of Noise. This game originally came on 3 discs, but we're actually going to use the HD load version once again to hopefully cut down on that loading time. If we have an Amiga with 1 meg or more, we can play the sound effects, or if we only have half a meg of memory, we can play the music, and we can also load from a save point as well. The code was created by Yves Grolet, Jan Robert, Michael Janssens, and Gilles Delmotte. The graphics for this game were created by Frank Sauer, Marc Albinet, Francois Dean, and Thomas Landsberg. So let's press fire and let's head on into the action. In this game, the first level is a 3D flying sequence where we glide using a dragon all the way from the wildlands through a cave and back to the forest in our quest to rescue the princess. At this point I must apologise that the Screen Reaper didn't quite grab all the backgrounds and they are a little flickery, but I hope you can see on this level all we have to do is to catch those bonuses, and they will give us some armour power up and some weapons power up as well, and otherwise make our way through this landscape, this 3D terrain, avoiding all kinds of dinosaurs and things which should have died out a long time ago. And you can see it's very fast and smooth, and the controls of the dragon are very responsive, although they're not overly twitchy, and you can see messages fly up on that screen. You hit something and it will also say to catch the bonus, and that will tell you what that bonus is, and it will also give us hints and tips like fly left and fly right, because some of those avenues will be blocked or otherwise more difficult to navigate than others. The main problems of this level is that while we are firing our lasers, no matter how much we upgrade that will actually spin down the screen, and that will block our view, and that will make flying and navigating this landscape slightly harder. And we can destroy some of this scenery, such as the trees and some other items such as the dinosaurs, but of course we cannot blow away the rocks, and so we'll have to avoid rocks at all costs. In the top right corner you can see our shield is depleting as we collide with items, but we can catch these bonuses and hopefully they will give us a shield top up, and we are getting towards the end of the level now. It's a good idea to make sure you have at least 50% health going into this cave, and then hopefully you'll be able to maintain some kind of health going on to the next level. If you don't have 50% health, then it's probably a good idea to quit and start again. And even the roof of this cave can damage our health if we collide with that, so we have to fly straight, and it's a great feeling when we complete that great level at higher speed, and we can progress on to the second level of this game. After every level, it will give us the option to save to one of the 3 save points available on that disc. And saving to disk is very welcome, considering this game is actually very large indeed, and it will take the player maybe an hour to get all the way through it. But let's load the second section and let's see how hard that would be. The second section of this game requires tricky timing, and you'll have to negotiate these puzzles in order, and it's very difficult sometimes to get through some of these traps, and it is possible, if you hit that third ball, it is possible to knock those out of the sky, not take any damage, but you notice when I pick up those crystals, our health will be replenished, and we're already on 73%. You'll also notice that we don't have a time limit, so we can take our time on these sections and simply wade in and take out those enemies. So back up to 93% health there at the end of the first section is a great place to be in, and unlike the first section of this game, it does give you plenty of health as long as you know where to look. And in this case, if we wait for a golden eagle to fly down, that will give us some more health. Let's just destroy that and collect that to give us some more. So all we have to do is to time these things to perfection, and if we do that to the pixel, then we'll solve these puzzles and we'll get rid of these items, and if we don't, we'll take on damage. We can fall from heights and we can land in the water and spikes without being killed outright, but that damage doesn't last forever, so you still have to be careful in this game. Some puzzles are very difficult. In fact, this one requires us to take on some water and turn our sword into a water sword to get rid of that fire on top of a swamp. And when was the last time you saw fire on top of a swamp? I have no idea. Taking a look at the comparison zone, we can compare that to Shadow of the Beast and Shadow of the Beast 2. These sections remind me a little bit of Leander as well. So stiff competition there from the rivals on the Amiga, but you can see already these graphics are superb, and even the backgrounds have a very nice fade effect, and yet again the game gives us lots of energy to be going on with. In fact, we can even turn around and milk a little more energy just in case we haven't got enough. And timing these things to perfection, it's almost like Rick Dangerous. When we enter a level, we have to maneuver to a certain position, do a certain thing before we can move on. So sometimes it's like Dragon's Lair. If we hit everything perfect, we'll survive, and if we don't, well, we won't. On to this next section, and it increases the danger and increases the traps as well. So sometimes we can avoid all this firepower, but I find, yes, you can blow all these orange orbs out of the sky, and so that's a good tip to remember. And backing away from that great enemy there, if you do that, then you'll just get hit. So sometimes you have to wade in and you have to take on those guys. In this section, if we wait for the log just to start to return, then that's the perfect time to jump, and when that log hits all the way over to the right, then that's the time to jump off that onto the next one. You may notice that we still have a flaming sword, and we'll need that to take on enemies later on. That doesn't last forever, so we'll continue waiting for those logs to go all the way over to the right, jump off those, and then hopefully we can dodge this onslaught and take on those man-eating plants. Controls are a little stiff, and sometimes it can take precious time to duck and press fire and to get rid of these enemies, but on this screen what we have to do is touch the edge, and that will give us access to the next level. And so these traps aren't easy because sometimes the controls aren't amazingly easy, and sometimes you'll have to jump on the very edge of items. And this puzzle, if you collect that health there, yes, you can destroy the rats the hard way, but if we get rid of this phoenix with the flaming sword, then that should make the bridge burn and kill the rats the easy way. You may notice raindrops are falling on our heads, and the planets in the background revolve, and you may not even notice these little touches, but this game has been very, very well drawn, and quite a few people moved on to Agony in 1992, including Yves Grolet, Jan Robert and Frank Sauer. So their artistic touches have been put to great use in this game, and I have to mention the music as well. The music by the Maniacs of Noise is very atmospheric on these forest levels and very, very racy on the dragon flying levels. There are 8 levels to this game, 5 of which are dragon flyers, so you'll have to make use of those and get used to those controls. And I say the puzzles are a little tricky to work out in the puzzle section, and by this time the player may be even getting fed up of solving endless puzzles in this Shadow of the Beast type game. And this game is slightly easier than Shadow of the Beast, mainly because it gives us lots of energy at every opportunity. So we cannot milk the energy, but if we use that, sometimes there are opportunities where we cannot actually survive and we have to take damage and hits, just like this. And so it's best to wade in there and look at that falling directly off that platform. So the collision detection is slightly to premium, and those kind of things on top of the slightly dodgy controls, the slightly dodgy jumping mechanism, and the slightly slow walk means these sections aren't an absolute joy, which they could have been. But the graphics make up for that, and the music, and the gameplay is relatively easy, so it won't take the player long to progress. No, the hardest part is to maintain that energy, and if we can do that, that's great. On this section, if we keep moving rapidly to the right, hopefully we'll avoid most of this firepower and outpace those eagles in the sky. And also, if we duck in time, we can get rid of the nasty worm halfway across. And there you go, and sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. That drops us all the way down to 22% health, 17 there. So at this point the player will be battling to maintain health, and they'll be praying that these levels will end so they can get through to the next section, but unfortunately it doesn't. It continues and continues on forever. And at this point the player's stamina is waning, and they've survived umpteen tasks in this section. They don't really want to progress, and to get slaughtered just like that, well, that could have been the last section before we get on to the next one, but to just die like that is quite unfair because we almost got there. So the 8 levels of this game are very tough, and even to get off the second section there is very, very difficult. But it is possible, and I have done it. So let's check out my high scores. My high scores for this game, well, 41,000, not amazing, almost 42,000, but I'm sure you can get much higher scores than that. So let's take another look at this game, and let's actually see the 3rd level, because when I completed the 2nd level I did save my progress to disk. So let's check that out. Even using the WHD load hard drive installation, those loading times is still an issue. Back we go, and here is the 2nd flying section, the 3rd level of the 8 in this game, and again it's very, very colourful. I love the textures on the floor of the original flying level and the river in the 2nd one, and I love the shading of the sky. I love the 3D, and it's very smooth, particularly on an Amiga 1200 with fast RAM, and these sections are very smooth indeed. I can't help feeling that with a little more polish these sections could have been just a little more fun, and they are pretty tricky to navigate at the best of times. You can see our health is all the way up there to 90% again, so sometimes if we feel defeated we can just collect some energy and continue. So apart from that, I adore the music in this game. I think the music is absolutely fantastic, and I love the remixes and that kind of thing. I initially didn't want to cover this game because it had been covered so very well in the Pat's Nostalgia review, and if you want to check out Pat's Nostalgia, that's a great review of this game and shows you later levels as well. But in this review I'm just going to end by concluding with the scores, and again the Lemon score is the lowest at 71%, Amiga Format gave this 74%, Acar gave it 76%, Amiga Action gave this game 82%, CU gave it 87%, Ace gave it 89%, and finally User 8, which was a very limited print run magazine, User 8 gave this 94%, which out of all those scores gives it 77, so I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. Amiga Format said that the graphically grim 3D sections really let this down, and I can't imagine where they got that from, because the graphics in this 3D section are amazing. Check out those walkways there. So I really did think that they did the best that they could with the hardware on offer, and I think the presentation and the demo-like effects in this game really give it a tremendous character, and the music, I absolutely love it. So thank you once again, and see you soon.